Saturday, March the 21st, 2020. First day of spring, officially. Although this year I notice it's been moved forward a day. Unsure why. But anyway, spring is with us. Also confirmed by an abundance of chiff-chaffs heard during the week. And they're more reliable than any man-made date. Anyway, I'm up here in Knebworth again. About to undertake 12 miles from Knebworth to Knebworth. It's a circular via Whitwell, local walk, and yeah, I haven't been here since last July, but a new walk has been created, so I thought, due to the virus, let's get a local one undertaken. And since I was here last July, the old pub over the road has been saved. The station, now a community pub. So that's a good to hear. These flats don't seem to be much advanced though. Anyway, it's a cracking day, which is another reason why I've come out today. Also the gyms are closed, bars are closed, etc, etc. Interesting times. The only downer on the weather today is the wind. Very windy. So let's see how my new wind blocker works, which is a piece of kitchen foam off of the old washing up foam that you use. Let's crack on. It's about 11:15. About 5.5 hours, 6 hours walking, and yeah, pretty fresh, around 6 degrees, but with a wind chill. Looks like it's part of the trade-off though. Garden's been sold on for flats. Crossing over the A1M. I'm not bothering recording the first mile or so because it's residential and has been previously recorded under Free Walk 340. Okay, I'm not sure if I actually mentioned the walk number, 353, but I'm going to do it in reverse today, just to be contrarian, which is part of my nature. You can also do it very easily because the instructions give a reverse order, and so does the GPS. It is noticeable today that there are more people and cars out than probably would be the case. Due to coronavirus, people are taking advantage of the weather and getting a bit of exercise in. View from point 2 of the text. Busy A1 there in the distance. And as you can hear, pretty windy still. Don't expect that to drop off until later this afternoon. Don't be tempted to take the path right into the woodland. Our onward journey is ahead with a large field on the left. Water tower there in the distance to guide you. Point 4 of the text, we've reached this lane. Over our first stile of the day. And so into open countryside. No cows at the moment. I think we're more likely to encounter horses than cows around this area. Although that may change over Whitwell Way, because I know for a fact there are cattle over there. Point 4 of the text still. Come out into this quiet country lane. No chiff-chaffs heard thus far. Only a blue tit so. Plumber's Farm there. So we come off this country lane, do a left here, following the finger post to Codicote Church. And as I noted last week, the hawthorn is coming out into leaf and I think it's the blackthorn that comes out into flower first before its leaf. Anyway, I've got both here, and thus far the paths have been very good, been dried by the winds. That'll change probably as we get down to the Mimram river, that is. So we come out into open countryside again, with the village of Codicote ahead of us. We just brushed that previously on walk 340 last summer. Well, it's a start, but it seems a bit odd. A solitary, I think it's oak, planted here. Don't get it. Service trees are required, it's true. But I notice a few others a couple of 100 yards ahead. What we need is hedgerows. This is my current campaign. Reinstate hedgerows. Crucial. I'm going to contact the CPRE, Campaign for Protection of Rural England. See what they're doing about hedgerows. Here's another one, and they are oak, which, as I say, is a start, but why so few? As you can see by the division in field colour there, farmers clearly historically know their field boundaries, so they should be able to easily reinstate hedges, I would have thought. Nice little copse over there. Alright, what's happening with this? It's bad sun. See, that's good practice. One was cut down and another one is taking its place, just as it should be. Codicote Church and Water Tower over there. Here's the solitary holly bush referred to in the text by the author, and she is right, the path to the left has not been reinstated. It's on the map, but not reinstated, so the farmer should remedy that if he's watching, and they do sometimes. Berry Farm, nice orchard here, remnants of, as we come out into Berry Lane, and that place I've just left is Tagmore Green. Didn't know that. Live and learn. Information panel here about the church in the Bury, St Giles's Church and Codicote Bury. So you can Google those if you wish to learn more. The Bury is Grade 2, 16th century listed. Now retirement flats apparently. Turning left here down Valley Road, then right down this unmarked footpath. Looks like the Bell Motel, referred to in the text, is now a victim of the decimation of pubs or coronavirus, one or the other, but it now looks like it's closed. That might just be the back though. Let's see what's going on at the front. I might be reporting fake news here. Certainly some caskets outside. It's all boarded up inside, which doesn't bode well. There's news or letters stuffed through the letterbox, so maybe it is closed down, not just a coronavirus thing. So I would check that one out prior to booking. Okay, we leave Heath Lane here, take this earthen track to the right. Point 9 of the text. Very pleasant thus far. 2 finger posts here, 0.10. I'm assuming we're taking the one to Kimpton Mill, which was on the walk last summer. So straight ahead really, as opposed to right. Go through this metal kissing gate, but one thing I've just learned is that the GPS for the reverse of the walk isn't accurate, because obviously it's probably made doing the anti-circular. So I've just gone to consult it to check where I am accuracy wise, and because I was a bit confused by points 10, 11, and yeah, it doesn't tie up. So maybe someone needs to do a GPS of the clockwise version of this walk. Anyway, luckily I remembered that this metal gate appeared in the previous walk 340, so that we're now duplicating some of that walk to Kimpton Mill, I believe. And the last time I did this walk there was cattle in this field, or certainly the one next door. I can hear the mewing of either kites or buzzards. Probably buzzards, but I have seen kites today. So we now have the Mimram over there on the left. Burst its banks by the looks of it in places. Chalk stream, that is. One of many in Hertfordshire. And as I say, this is duplication of walk 340 as we head towards Kimpton Mill. Surprising, no chiff-chaffs. Yeah. Lovely cluster of celandines there. Cheers everybody up the yellow colour. Beautiful. So unlike last time in walk 340, you don't do a left here. Continue straight on, as mentioned in point 12 of the text. So Kimpton Mill and Ford is down there on my left. And here you have a watercress farm, typical of chalk streams. Mate of mine from school runs, or maybe still does, I don't know. They have one in Whitwell. Not sure if we'll see it, but Sanson's watercress used to be well known in the local area. So, point 12 still. We're headed towards Rye End. Right away only. Now this damp low-lying area, full of poplars and willows I think, should be classic chiff-chaff territory. Certainly they're out in abundance up near me, which is marshy and typical of this terrain. So I guess it just depends. But anyway, I've heard a lot of them this week. Yeah, they're not poplars, they're cricket-bat willow, so they're commercially grown, just like the ones I've got near me. So, it would appear a month on that this tree is still in position. We're now on the Hertfordshire Way, pretty important walking route, and Herts County Council have not removed the tree. So I'm going to report this on Pathwatch. I cannot stress highly enough for anyone watching these videos how important Pathwatch is. It's an app, you put it on your smartphone, and as you may have gathered from previous videos you may have watched with me, you just report it to the Ramblers and they get on with it. Simple as that. No complications, take a photo, job done. So let's do it. Interesting bridge this. Probably a folly because it doesn't actually ford or cross a river, but in times past the river could have come in this direction possibly. It's about 100 yards behind us. Decent vista from point 14 in the text. Got a very decent bluebell wood here in season on my right. And another good bluebell wood on my left. Now you can hear the kites. Can't see them at the minute, but there's a couple around. Still jets taking off from the nearby Luton Airport. Not as many as normal, obviously, but that could be a deterrent or a hindrance in the summer months whenever the jets start landing again at Luton. Views from point 15 of the text, and I must admit, certainly busy with people walking today. The lockdown is certainly forcing people out into the countryside. There's Whitwell water tower, scene of a murder or hanging a few years back. Great tit in the background. Just about make out St Paul's church in the distance there. Connections with the Queen Mum. Now I notice underfoot here, got some deer cloves by the looks of it. I think they're called cloves. I know a man that will know if he's watching. Point 16 of the text, here's the soggy hay bales referred to. And somehow we need to do a left up here. Can't see any obvious path though. So the farmer hasn't reinstated the path at this point, which is against DEPFRA guidelines. It's meant to be within 2 weeks of ploughing. But that's our onward journey across this flinty field. Onward journey across this next vast field is clear. Point 18 of the text at this telegraph pole. Take the right path. Wind seems to be picking up now. Should be dropping in the afternoon. Just passing what would have been a recommended lunchtime stop, but obviously due to coronavirus currently isn't. I'm looking for the church in this high street as per usual. So it looks like what was previously the Baptist chapel is now a private residence. Yep, the Maiden's Head is still up for sale, due to go to auction by the looks of it. Crossing over the Nimran with information panel here. I know the young lady that's responsible for the conservation of this river, Sarah Parry, amongst others. They're leading by example on our local conservation project in Nicholford. Emily's tea shop, which is obviously closed today, is just in here on my right. And an interesting sign there about the British Frisians. I knew they were present in Whitwell. Let's hope they're not out today. Now following the footpath towards St Paul's, Walden, and obviously with that chapel now being a private residence, I need to find another lunchtime pit stop. New development in Whitwell as well. The scourge of the green belt continues. Now what I'm going to do is utilise this fallen tree here as my lunchtime stop. There's nothing between where I am and St Paul's Walden church, which we don't pass on this walk either. So 2:15, I'm pretty hungry. So let's get fed. Okay, 3:15, lunch has been had, and that fallen tree served its purpose. Let's press on. Another view over Whitwell. Now on the fringes of the St Paul's Waldenbury estate. St Paul's Waldenbury over there, and its connections with the Queen Mother, RIP. Decent views out to the countryside. Not bad for Hertfordshire. Another shot of the house. So at this juncture here, this wooden gate, you can do a right, go through it and continue with the main walk, or continue straight on down the State Approach Road and go off to see the village of St Paul's Walden and its church, which I won't be doing today. Church is just visible there through the trees, about half a mile away, possibly more. Lovely avenue of limes here, I do believe. Lovely walled garden over there on my left. Nothing in it at the minute. Would have been full of herbs and vegetables, I assume, back in the day. A psychic garden perhaps, or physic garden. The old lodge gatehouse there, built in 1950. Thought it might have been older than that. Now following this footpath with the hedgerow on your left into Reynolds Wood. And there are plenty of birds of prey here. A kite and a buzzard. And a jet as well. Just to spoil things. Anyway. Do believe they're my first primroses of the season. Lovely to see. Always out and about around about Easter, which is late this year. But there you go, my first primroses. Well, this is by far and away the muddiest section of the walk today, and as usual it's down to horses. Okay, we're doing a left here towards those farm buildings, still following the Stevenage outer orbital path, the stoop. So here we have the Walden herd, British Friesians, and it's my understanding now that Hertfordshire no longer has any dairy herds. I might be wrong, but that's what I heard. Solitary goose on the pond. Regulation farm dog. Walking down Ruslin's Lane, and I like the way these hedges have been cut. Look at that, angled at the top, leaving the base thick. Plenty of vegetation at the lower level. So I don't know who's cut these hedges, but they've done a decent job. Seems to vary from contractor to contractor. Likewise on the opposite side. Very good. Looking over towards Stevenage in the distance. So just here at Ruslin End Cottage, that's where walk 340 went. The pheasant agrees. And my onward journey now duplicates some of that walk back into Graffage Wood and across Knebworth Park. So we're once again repeating stuff here, but in reverse. People often wonder why we have these ditches, because for most of the year they're doing absolutely nothing other than gathering litter. But over the last few months they've certainly served their purpose, to the extent that I've noticed some farmers have had to dredge them because they're so full of silt and muck, and they haven't been working effectively. But they certainly do serve a purpose, even though for most of the year they don't appear to be doing much. So as we're about to enter Graffage Wood here, scene of some camping going on when I was last here, last summer. See the old dyke certainly serving its purpose here. My God, this woodland's been decimated since I was in here last summer. What is going on? They've got to replant. Certainly hope they're going to replant these that they've felled. Ludicrous, you can hardly call this a wood now. Nothing in here. Don't understand it, doesn't seem to be any rhyme nor reason. They've all been cut at bizarre heights as well. Maybe somebody can explain to me why that is. About 5-6 foot high. I think they're lime, so they might have been diseased, but it is bizarre. Still think it's amazing that I haven't heard a chiff chaff all day, considering the amount that there are only, what, 10 mile from here. Must be the type of terrain. Maybe you come here another couple of weeks' time, then they'll be everywhere. Certainly plenty of thinning going on in this wood. I wonder what's under that tarpaulin there, near this standpipe. Looks a bit dubious. They must be there for a reason, obviously. Laurel and Hardy. Amazing. So we're now entering the park at Knebworth. So it's not cattle to worry about today, but possible deer. Should be alright this time of year. One large herd of deer. Still, it's what Hertfordshire is famous for, hence the name, Hert. And our county crest. Some big bucks in there. Past a very quiet visitor centre, which obviously should be closed cafe wise today. Well, interestingly, they've got a takeaway stand, takeaway only, which is a good idea. Most people are in their cars here anyway, so bear that in mind. At the moment, takeaway only. Certainly a good spread of deer. Bit of venison for you. Just heard a field fair as well somewhere, so they're still with us. The Church of St Mary and St Thomas of Canterbury, which I won't visit this time because I did that last time. Just behind me, the house. Very different on a cold March day to the long hot summer days of the old rock concerts. I never actually came to one, even though I only live 6 miles away. Not really my bag. I prefer the small, sweaty venues. And with Glastonbury being cancelled this year, there won't be much going on in these grounds either, I wouldn't have thought. Thanks to Corona. Interesting, it's just referred to as St Mary's here. They've omitted Thomas. Usually locked. One final view of the hall before I depart. So there's the Glaxo Drug Company manufacturing plant there. And you can also hear the busy A1M now as we approach Knebworth. Passing the wreck on my left hand side, and we'll soon be duplicating walk 340. In fact, we are at the moment. Still no sign here indicating that this is a footpath. So back at my starting point this morning, save the residential walk now down to the station. So here we are, 4 3/4 hours and 12 miles later, after a pretty decent walk actually. Can't complain for Hertfordshire, very good, well written, paths were good. Some decent scenery for Herts, so not bad. I would suggest that's a very good bluebell walking season for those that want one. So 353 completed, and because of these enforced lockdowns that we're currently experiencing, I think the next one might be Harpenden to St Albans. Not sure yet, but let's see. Till the next time.